As I mentioned at the top of the program, Donald Trump is winning, isn't he? His swift action on tariffs, demanding action from Canada and Mexico has worked. Both countries are now shifting troops and other personnel to police their borders, and the tariffs have now been paused. The deal with Mexico was sealed in a phone call between Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum and President Trump.
They've agreed to put in 10,000 soldiers permanently, like forever, 10,000 soldiers at their side of the border and stop fentanyl and illegal aliens from coming into our country.
As I put it to US analyst Kristin Tate, Trump's strategy is working because the man knows how to do a deal.
Yes, the tariffs were a negotiating tactic and they worked in like a day, Chris. And why did we get results so quickly? Because what are these other countries like Colombia or Mexico or Canada? What are they going to do? This is what happens when the most powerful country in the world actually wields power. And these countries, they all need us more than we need them. So, it's just delusional to think that a country like Mexico would win in a trade war with the United States.
Yeah, it's extraordinary to see American power exercised so bluntly and so quickly, as is the way of diplomacy. Everyone likes to claim a bit of a win. Here's the Mexican president.
I explained to him the seriousness of the whole question of arms entering Mexico from the US and also arming criminal groups.
Yeah, it's a two-way thing, Kristin. Mexico wants that border more secure too.
Of course. The question is, why wasn't this done years ago? Why did it take the tariffs to make this happen? I mean, under Joe Biden, we had probably more than 10 million illegal immigrants come into this country, most of them trekked through Mexico. Where was the Mexican government then? So I'm glad she's on board now and things are starting to happen.
Well, it's the same thing in Panama, right? Instead of just sitting back and watching the Panamanians do deals with China and surrender control of such a vital asset that America actually constructed in the first place, Donald Trump's pressure there, again, has had instant results, and Panama is now going to cease dealing with China in the same way. Here's Trump again.
The Panama Canal was given foolishly years ago it shouldn't have been happened, years ago to Panama. We gave it away for $1, okay? We gave it away essentially for nothing. And we either want it back or we're going to get something very strong or we're going to take it back.
So, Kristin, again, a straightforward approach. He makes a logical argument. The only difference between the Trump approach and the approach of Biden or just about any other politician around the world, actually, is that he's prepared to exercise that power in a straightforward and clear manner.
Of course. And for years, decades, actually, we've had the eggheads sitting in these bureaucracies in Washington and our politicians on both sides of the aisle saying so many of these problems couldn't be solved because they were just too complicated. Everyone was overcomplicating these problems. In fact, a lot of these problems are really simple. It just takes strong leadership. And we finally have strong leadership, and that's why we're getting results. It's only been a couple of weeks, and President Trump has done more in like 3 weeks than Biden did in 3 or 4 years. It's unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, it is incredible to watch. And, of course, when it comes to government expenditure, you've got Donald Trump and Elon Musk focusing on that. And there's a big focus on the moment at US aid. Now, again, all sorts of lefties will scream out here about you can't cut aid to other nations need it, developing nations and the like. And, yes, lots of good is done with aid. But have a listen to Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, actually talk about the wastage in some of that aid program.
These are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia.
Kristin, the argument, again, makes itself.
Of course, like all government programs, this one only continues to grow. This may have made sense, this program, maybe 70 years ago after World War II to help people around the world kind of recovering from the trauma of war. But today, U.S. aid delivers over $40 billion worth of absurd goodies such as LGBTQ programs in parts of the globe that most Americans have never even heard of. It is completely absurd. 99% of Americans have no idea where their tax dollars are going, and they are horrified when they learn. So good on Trump for slashing this absurd spending.
This is extraordinary to watch. Are the US media keeping up with the new president's agenda?
Barely, Chris. I mean, the president has an incredible staff. They have been working on these EOs for probably over a year now, and they were ready to go and hit the ground running on day one. This is clearly a strategy to just flood the system with EOs and actions, bold actions, all at once. So the media really can't focus on any one thing. I mean, you start talking about one thing before you finish your sentence, he's done another thing. It's just unbelievable. I could go through the list on the things on immigration, declaring a national emergency at the border, reinstating Remain at Mexico. On DEI, he's done a bunch of things, removing federal funding for transgender surgeries from patients under the age of 19. I mean, down the list, you just go on, and the media, their heads are just exploding because they cannot keep up.
Great to talk to you again, Kristin, and good luck to you keeping up as well.
Thank you, Chris. Great to talk.
I hope that Colombian transgender musical still gets up, because I know we'd all like to see that one. Can hardly wait. I should just add, repeating that breaking news this afternoon on the tariff front, that China has now responded to Trump's tariffs. So there's a tariff war now in place between the US and China. This will be a tougher ask. This is about fair trade, but you would never write off Donald Trump. He's going from success to success, so hopefully he can get some sense out of China soon.